episode 94.
Wow.
We are inching towards two, actually kind of a big deal, two things. Episode 100, which again, we're going to try to do something very special.
Yeah.
But our second year. Next week is our second year. So
Valentine's Day or thereabouts, wasn't it?
Exactly, Valentine's Day. However, I think our next episode comes out on February 12th. So we're going to call that our second year anniversary. So 100 episodes and our second anniversary. So again, we'll keep you informed as to things that are special coming up. But being that I recently traveled to our nation's capital, Washington D.C. during the shutdown, I wanted to see while I was there the representation of Las Vegas and Nevada. I wanted to see if our red state status and how important we're always told we are during election time made sense.
Are we still considered a red state?
No, well, not this year.
Yeah,
not this year. We were overtaken.
The thing is,
blue streaks in the red.
Yeah, and that's it. Is that you have the two blue areas? You've got Las Vegas. You have Reno.
Yes.
That's where all the population is.
Yes.
The rest of the state, which is gigantic, people don't realize really how big. I mean, in terms of land, there is in Nevada.
Yeah.
I was reading about the atomic testing site.
Yes.
That area is the largest government-owned parcel of land in the country. Yep. And it's almost as big as the state of Connecticut.
Yeah. Bureau of Land Management.
Yeah.
Not a fan of that particular department.
Yeah.
Because they're not really great about policing their areas. In fact, later on in the podcast, I'm going to bring up some very disappointing facts about our national parks that I learned also in Washington D.C. But the first thing I want to do, and it doesn't matter what you think of her politics or her partisanship. But one of the things that I believe that every American, every Nevadan, every Las Vegan should go to D.C. and see it and enjoy it. And most everything is free. Unfortunately, I had to miss a few things because of the shutdown, and it was very sad. But it's a wonderful place to go and wonderful thing to see our government in action, bad or good. Whatever you think of it. If our government has some real problems right now, both sides, or all three sides, if you count the sad libertarians. But one of the things you can do, and this is in any state, in any city, but you can contact your senator or House of Representative, but your senator, and they can assist you in getting a couple of things. One, White House tours, which I had one, and unfortunately was canceled. But I went to Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, and it started off as a digital process. It was an email process. And I said, hi, I'm from Las Vegas. You represent me up there on the Hill, and I would like to see if there's anything that we can do about getting Senate and House gallery passes, meaning that you can go to the Senate facilities up in the top and watch the proceedings. And to my shock, almost the same day, I got a response from a young lady that is one of her workers. I wouldn't say she's a page; she's a step above, saying, "Hello, wonderful. Yes, we'll be glad to help you. Come to the office. Come to the office" is the one that surprised me, and we'll help you. And lo and behold, we got to the office, and we got to it was the Russell Building of the Senate offices. And there she was, and she greeted me, and I absolutely knew who I was. And she said, here's your passes, here's this, and gave me all this information. So I have to compliment Senator Cortez Masto, if only for the response. I can't tell you the number of times I have during my workday that I get no response or incorrect responses, like you didn't answer my question. So absolutely a tip of the hat to her and her staff for helping me. Now we went there and we saw. Unfortunately, it was a strange day. They weren't supposed to be in session, but they were. It was a Saturday. And I saw the representative from Alaska and the two representatives from Virginia talk about the shutdown. And the Alaska one was actually quite sad. It was an interesting problem they have. The Coast Guard is shut down. And she was representing Kodiak. and a very small town, but it's driven by the government because this Coast Guard spends money in the town and drives the town's finances. But so when they got shut down, it was bad, you know. And of course, the following day, Mitch McConnell, who is just an atrocious person, I think.
Oh yeah.
Based on all the things that I've read, gave his big speech. At the time, it was not going to happen. He basically said, "Hey, thanks for the speech. We're not doing it." So very interesting. Now, the other thing that I learned is that the Capitol building, which was a great tour, many people don't know this, but every state is represented in the Capitol building in the Hall of Statues by a statue. Did you know that?
No.
I didn't know that. So you wouldn't know who our statue is. Now, there's Arizona, Barry Goldwater, and there's Ronald Reagan, and some statues have different levels of importance, you know. Go ahead.
Putridness, I would think. Yes.
Oh, well, it depends on, you know, and it all...
On your politics, sure.
It all depends on your politics.
I would set fire to both of those statues myself, or go at it with a sledgehammer.
Oh,
Yeah.
Not a Goldwater fan, really?
No, not a Goldwater
Really?
fan.
Now, most people I mention Goldwater to, you know, that they either know that he's the venerable Barry Goldwater, and he's very beloved on the Hill and in Arizona, but on the other side of it, there's a good 50% that are like you.
Well, yeah. Well, back in the days, in the '60s, you know, he was a wing nut. I mean, he was just nuts. He wanted to nuke Vietnam.
Yeah.
I will give him credit for one thing. He did make me laugh.
Right.
When they were discussing gays in the military.
Yes.
And he was opposed. I mean, he wasn't opposed to that, to gays in the military.
Yeah.
And he had said you don't have to be straight to shoot straight. I thought it was pretty good. Okay. I'll give you that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when he had even said near the end of his life he was there with another prig, you know, who's still around, Bob Dole.
Oh,
and he says, "Can you believe it, Bob? Do you ever think we'd end up on the left side of the Republican Party?"
Right.
And yeah, because they had moved so where even a wingnut like Barry Goldwater in the day was no longer crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, you know, Hillary Clinton had been a Goldwater Republican back in the 60s, and I still say she still is.
Yeah.
You know, some things don't change. Don't give me this shit that she's some, you know, a quote unquote liberal, and no, she's not.
Yes.
She never was.
Now our statute. Now every state can have.
Does it have to be a person? Can it be
No, it has to be a person.
Right.
It has to be an actual person, and there's only a couple rules.
Yeah.
It has to be in either marble or bronze.
All right.
Okay, and other people have tried like wood. And that doesn't work. So marble or bronze, and you have to make two of the exact same ones, and then the one is in the Hall of Statues. Ours, and there's wonderful people. I mean, wonderful. You know, there's Martin Luther King and so on and so forth. Regardless of what you think of them individually, politically, or personally.
So do they just have to come from the state?
Yes.
Is that what it is? Okay, they have to be a native son or
yes.
daughter or whatever.
And a lot of some states have ones that were from the original founding fathers.
Yeah.
But you are able to change them. So that's the other rule. You can change them, but it has to go through a certain process. So Nevada has not changed since, and you know, Las Vegas being represented, but Nevada has not changed since they chose Sarah Winnemucca.
Okay, that made sense. I was thinking, I'd say, gee, it may be a Native American.
Very interesting statue. I would have to say one of two the most unique. Winnemucca being one, Sacagawea another one, and King Kamehameha from Hawaii. Yeah. All very interesting statues. You've seen the King Kamehameha 1,000 times in Hawaii 5-0. It's the one right in front of the police station.
Yeah.
But Sarah Winnemucca.
Now, if you ever get a chance to go to the town of Winnemucca,
I have
not. Don't.
Winnemucca.
Winnemucca.
Yeah, that's quite, and it's also a ways from Las Vegas.
Oh,
so it's I wouldn't recommend it as a
yeah.
trip.
Yeah, in fact, if you're driving, like I used to visit my sister when she lived in Idaho.
Right.
Driving from California.
Yeah.
And once you get out of Reno, you're kind of like in outer space, more or less. There's nothing between that and Boise, really, except that you see signs for Winnemucca.
Right.
And I'll say Winnemucca, how many hundreds of miles it is, and that's what you're driving towards.
Yeah.
And then it makes it sound like this is an oasis in the desert.
Yes.
You know, Winnemucca 75 miles, I'm almost there. And you're just driving and there's just nothing to see but scrub brush, right?
Yeah.
You know how it is in mountains. And the only thing that changes are the little mile markers.
Right.
They get 1 mile closer. Right. Finally, here's the promised land.
Right.
And you realize it's a dump, but I'm here. I'm in Winnemucca.
Yeah, it is. Now, Sarah Winnemucca, for those of you who don't know, is a northern Paiute Indian.
Yeah.
She's referred to author / activist.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know that much about her, but I read a little bit of some of her works, and because of her generation, which is very old, I wouldn't say that it was too controversial, but controversial in the day.
Yeah.
But a good choice. If you run down, Reno and Carson City and everything else, you could go back into the Wild West, beginnings of Nevada and Carson City and probably find an interesting person. But, as I thought about it, pretty good choice.
Yeah.
Safe choice.
Yeah.
It was a very safe choice.
Now, I don't know if you saw while you were gone, I think he might have been here while you were here, but our new governor, Steve Sisolak, wants to change the name of McCarran Airport.
Well, yes. I have to say that while I was in Washington, there were many marches that we talked about in the pre-show. There was a women's march, an Indigenous Peoples March, and a women's rights march, and the kid with the Indian, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to bore everybody with that, but my whole point, a lot of the marchers want to destroy everything. They want to bring it down, and during the Capitol tour, in the Hall of Statues, a woman sort of attacked our group leader, director, and about it was propaganda, because there's some very famous paintings and statues in there adorning the walls of the Capitol, and she felt that these were inappropriate misrepresentations of the time. And beyond being incredibly rude, because we're all trying to listen, it's all we have. Ripping down everything is not going to work. It's all we have. It is the history. You can't erase the history and build your new stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I never believed in the ripping down of all the statues, because it's all we have. You don't have to adopt the policies of the individual that made the statue, and it's also sort of spitting on the artist. He didn't say, I don't like black people, so I'm going to build the statue. It was commissioned by people. So I don't believe in changing it. Now, was McCarran a bad person? I don't know. He probably was a giant racist, and a misogynist, and okay, but that's all we have. And what does Sisolak want to do?
He wants to change to Harry Reid.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be Harry Reid.
Okay.
And then I guess as a compromise, he wants to rename Reno as well, the airport there. And I forget who.
I was going to say the town.
Yeah.
Probably not going to happen.
No, he wants to rename the airport.
Yeah. And it was funny because during the tour of the Capitol, when this woman spouted off this, it's propaganda, and I was like, what a foolish thing to do and say. I mean, the woman she says, she expounded on that, and she said, well, are there talks of changing this? And the woman was, obviously taken aback, but she says, yes, there's talks. Never going to happen. Because these are prized possessions by the Capitol. Regardless of what they represent, they're our history. So I don't know. Now, Harry Reid, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't support that at all. We have bigger issues. Our
name a street after him that nobody drives on.
Oh, that's right.
If you really want to feel like, go ahead and do that.
Right.
That's hard enough as it is when you have a street and they renamed it.
Yeah.
They used to have, when I grew up in San Francisco, it was Army Street. And it was always Army Street. Well, they changed it
to Navy Street.
It became Cesar Chavez. Well, it's fine. Okay, that's fine if you want to commemorate somebody, fine. But with this, it was a big street, and the thing is that some of us still call it Army Street. I mean, I don't live there anymore, so I went back. What the hell happened to Army Street? Now Cesar Chavez. Now, how long has it been that? 20 years? Well, I was gone. I was in Japan. What have you? I was gone a long time. I didn't know they changed the name of the street.
Yeah, I just and honestly, when I'm at the airport, or trying to get to the airport or trying to leave the airport.
Yeah.
The last decision making I'm making is who is it named after?
Yeah.
And what did he mistreat women or black people? I don't care. I really don't care.
They should probably just give them, all the airports should just have a name that represents that city, whatever it is.
Exactly.
You know, instead of don't name them after people, and don't go renaming them with all these fucking Ronald Reagan and John Wayne. Again, I don't want, come on, I don't want them airports named after them. And it does get it. I remember one time I was in line. This was really interesting, where a guy, because of his regional dialect, the person at the counter, he was saying he wanted to go to Dallas. Well, she didn't know if he was saying Dulles. Well, he's also named after an asshole, right? That's the CIA guy.
Yeah, CIA.
Dulles, or if he wanted to go to Dallas in Texas.
Okay.
So things like that. Think about it. Is there going to be problems like this? I just booked a guy a ticket to Washington, D.C. He wanted to go to Texas, right?
Well, see, the whole thing is that if you really truly ask the individuals that are being slighted, by the name McCarran, it's not helping their plight. Yes, there is racist in the United States, and yes, there's misogyny, and so on and so forth. But renaming the airport's not going to help it, and it's certainly not going to make Southwest not suck. So move on. Name it Las Vegas International Airport. You know, don't name it after a person. Oh my gosh. So back to Nevada's representation. We're actually, I've always wondered how important Vegas was as a representation of Nevada as it represented the United States in Washington, D.C. And it really is important. You talk to people, there's an interesting thing. You talk to people in Washington, D.C. about Las Vegas. There's two reactions. There's the political reaction, and then there's the enamored, oh my gosh, what's it like living there? Yeah. That typical, the gambling and the drinking. And
do you have a slot machine in your house?
Yes, we do. Every one of us, one each. But the political reaction is very interesting. It's exactly the way you put it. Where are you from? And there's a lot of pubs, great pubs. And where are you from? Las Vegas. Oh my gosh. Well, you're blue now. I guess so. We are currently, and then of course and they ask about the shows and the showgirls and the so on and so forth.
Yeah, and you wouldn't know it though by going on the strip and the shows. What happened to all the topless shows? Right, they're all gone.
Right. Yeah, I know. Terrible thing, John.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
well, I mean, they had it. Remember, they had the covered show and they had the later show.
Yeah.
The early show was covered. The late show, by late, was like 9:30 even. Not even late.
Exactly.
In the old days, the early show was 9:30 and the topless one was at midnight.
Yeah. During our tenure, it was 7:30 and 10:30.
Yeah.
7:30 and 10:30.
Yeah.
And 10:30 was the favorite, of course.
Yeah.
But we are actually considered quite important in DC and are thought of as much. And I was quite impressed by that. I was, I always thought, oh yeah, Vegas, cowtown, gambling, naked women and so on and so forth. But it's really not the way we're looked at primarily by the people in power out there. We are a cornerstone to the voting process, which is thrilling on one side and scary on the other. Because I don't like what happened to our local politics. Yeah. Although I kind of turn a blind eye to it because I was like, oh, Sislag, really? Yeah. It was exciting to see the process out there for as little as we saw it, and to hear Vegas mentioned, nicely. But an interesting thing that happened that was sort of whispered about while we were there and really talked about recently in the last day or so is Trump tweeted, and I know we're all tired of that, but he tweeted that he's disappointed. He spelled it right, though.
Oh, he spelled it right?
He spelled disappointed.
Not confefe or?
No, not confefe. But he's disappointed in how the FBI reviewed the Las Vegas shooting on October 1st.
Oh, is that right? They wanted to find some reason. They want to blame it on ISIS or the girlfriend in the Philippines. or something like that. Let's blame it on Abu Sayyaf or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they just wasn't there.
Yeah. So he didn't elaborate on the breadth of his disappointment, but it was interesting. Again, we were in the news. We were in Washington, D.C.'s news after whisperings of that while we were there. And then the ensuing news beyond that is that apparently the report the FBI has put out, now, I don't know exactly what the public is privy to as far as this report, but it's very small. I mean, brief. And everybody's up in arms about this, the victims and so on and so forth. They're quite offended by the brevity of this report. But the victim's response did not trigger Trump's response. He responded already, I'm disappointed in this. I don't know why. But I kind of do know why. Las Vegas represents a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
A whole lot of money. A lot of which, funnels to DC, and we don't know that. I don't know how. But
well, we have Sheldon Adelson here too. Remember that too?
Yeah.
Are the biggest, the biggest donor to the Republicans.
Oh yeah,
So.
yeah. Although Adelson, lost a lot of local bids. He was funneling a lot of money into some Las Vegas representatives, and most of which fell by the wayside.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're right. Adelson used to be Krikorian. Krikorian was on the opposite side.
That's right.
Yeah, it was an interesting battle, but then he passed, and it was, Wynn, sort of.
Yeah, with Wynn, I mean, they're basically on the same side. They just don't like each other.
Right.
Because I guess of the competition.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Adelson's not well, and Wynn, of course,
Oh,
has
isn't he well?
Well, he's never
good.
well.
Good.
And Wynn has the macular degeneration, and he's blind, and it was terrible.
Didn't Robert Goldstein used to refer to Adelson as grumpy?
Grumpy,
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, grumpy. Oh, sure. Yeah.
And he's still there. I'm surprised he put up with the old man that long.
Right. Now, the other thing that was whispered about while I was in D.C., not whispered, it was trumpeted from the Hill, is the shutdown itself. And the people were great there. The people that were working, that were not being paid, including at the monuments, cleaning the bathrooms, cleaning people's shit, not being paid.
Yeah.
And they were cleaning that. And I told the one guy, I said, you know what? Thank you. And he said, you know what? We don't want to see this go downhill like this. And I told him, I said, man, it's going to come back to you, hopefully. But can you imagine that? Cleaning other people's shit.
I used to work, when I got out of college, I had a job I had to do something. So I got a job. I was a gardener, temporary gardener. By temporary, I worked there for 2 years for the city and county of San Francisco. And they had me out in Golden Gate Park. And one of the guys, we all had to take turns cleaning the one of the bathrooms that was out there at the time.
Yeah.
He went in there and someone had taken a dump on the floor. He got in there with the hose then he locked it. And that's it. He goes, no one's going back in that bathroom when it's on my watch.
Yeah.
So anyway, where's the bathroom? You're going to have to go clear across the other side of the park because I don't have a key for this one.
Yeah.
And this guy whose turn it is to clean up, he doesn't want to pick up somebody's damn turd off the floor.
Yeah. And what's amazing is that when I was there, I spoke to that man. And on the other side of it, I saw all the marchers with their signs, saying one thing or another. And what happened to the signs after they're done marching?
They just get tossed.
If they get tossed in a can, it's lucky they're on the street. And that they lost all credibility to me. I don't care what your cause is. Pick that up. You're a pig. But it was talked about by a couple, people that were, all over DC about the national parks.
Yeah.
Theirs, the monuments, but also ours. Specifically Joshua Tree.
Yes, I heard that.
It's horrendous. It's horrendous. It was happening while I was in DC. And to the point where we have lost sections of the Joshua trees themselves.
It's going to take 300 years?
300 years to come back.
How old are we going to be then, Jamie?
Yeah. Oh, John.
Holy shit.
You'll be here.
Yeah.
And I'll be gone.
Oh.
Yeah. You're pickled, I think.
Well, what's really been annoying me lately is as I inch closer and closer to 60, is the shit I get in the mail. And I thought, come on, really? Oh, thank you. Coupons for fucking Super Poly Grip. Diapers, adult diapers. Did they really make this sort of thing? Hearing aids, walkers. Do I look like I need any of that, right? Come on, I'm only going to be 60.
That's right. That's right.
Super
Well,
polygraph.
AARP cards in Vegas apparently garner quite a few discounts. So you better start. Yeah, it's better than Groupon apparently.
Usually, when I get the envelope from them, I know it's right from them. It goes immediately in my shredder.
Yeah.
Most stuff I just throw away, right? I rip it in half, throw it. No. I take pleasure. I'm not a retired person.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be for a while.
Yeah.
Your card's going in the shredder, right? Don't call me, I'll call you.
But to close up the DC portion, and I know we talk about a lot of stuff that isn't Vegas, and yet Vegas was so prevalent there when I was there. I was so thrilled to hear and see that. Again, I have to reiterate, go there.
Yeah.
If you can. It's an expensive damn town.
They
make up for all the free monuments by the not free food. Holy shit.
Yeah.
But there are some great restaurants. If you're a foodie, go there. It's a great restaurant. But everybody should go there. Set your politics aside and look at the efforts that were made by the forefathers and by all the people preceding us and all of our governmental processes. Everybody loves to yell about Trump and yell about, Vegas and so on and so forth. But right now, it's a beautiful thing to see the system kind of buckle. We've been going along just Democrat, Republican, Democrat.
Well, like I said, there's one party. There's just one party in this country. Yeah.
And see, this is what I love, because I don't particularly like Trump. I think he's kind of a clown, but he has shaken up the status quo, and people are like, wait a minute, what are we going to do now? What are we doing now? And there's governmental changes that official processes that are changing, and it's wonderful to watch. 2 years he'll be gone, whatever. But if you get a chance, go there. And again, I applaud Senator Cortez Masto. Thank you so much for responding and realizing that I'm a constituent, and I had a great time. So that being said, I was back on Las Vegas Boulevard yesterday.
No,
I was working. And I was working. We have a question to you later, John.
All right.
About this. A couple questions actually, but I was working for Chinese New Year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, lots of decor, lots of advertising, and I do a lot of that during this time of year. But as I was going to, once again, my friends over there at the Cosmopolitan, on the left side, I was going south on Las Vegas Boulevard. On the left side, going north, over by the Paris Hotel, every fire engine, I think.
Oh, because a guy fell in, didn't he?
In the state of Nevada.
Yes, he fell in.
I was there as it happened.
Oh, was that right?
Yeah, just
he fell in the balloon.
Fell in the balloon.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was going on, but I mean, they had the everything. They had the 2-3 section hook and ladder. They had everything going on. I mean, everybody was watching. I think the firemen were bored because they only needed like 3 firemen to get him out.
Yeah.
But there were 100 people there, and it was the coolest thing to watch. I mean, everything was going on. The balloon was open, and the guy, I was looking intently to see if there was a fire. That's usually what happens.
Yeah.
No fire. But yes, he fell, became stuck.
Yeah, he wasn't drunk. He worked there, right?
He was there.
Yeah, that was it. It wasn't like hey, I'm gonna climb the balloon.
No, he was a professional, and it was an accident. But man, it was all hands on deck.
Yeah,
and it was nobody cared about gambling or shows or food or anything else.
There's a free show right
there.
All
all watching this. It was amazing to watch. But brand new news. He's fine, by the way.
Yeah, that was good because we lost a window washer a couple months ago.
Yeah, we did.
I forgot what hotel was it? The Trump was it? Or?
The Trump Hotel.
Yeah,
Trump Hotel. Everybody's favorite, the Trump Hotel.
Yeah.
But all right.
I won't hang that on him.
A couple of questions. I'll do mine first here.
All right.
Richard from the UK. It was a direct email. Thanks, Richard, for sending this. It says, Jamie, just visited Las Vegas from the UK. Thank you for your sage wisdom. Made our trip great. I'm thrilled to hear that.
Good.
Because John and I really try to speak truth to power, right?
Yeah.
I've heard that phrase too many times, but we do. We try to say what Vegas is really like and keep everybody's eyes open. So fantastic, Richard. And he said, made our trip great. What are the Chinese decorations for? Well, I'll tell you. It's Chinese New Year.
That's right. February 5th.
February 5th. I start working on the 31st. I work through the 7th. And there's a lot of things going on. Usually it has nothing to do with Chinese New Year. But the Chinese population love to come to Las Vegas. They have a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they are generally VIPs, and they have slot tournaments and baccarat tournaments and poker tournaments. And I shoot for all the advertising and decor for that. And Bellagio Gardens, they do an amazing job for decorating for that. And it's funny. A lot of people don't know what's going on. They think, oh, that's nice, a dragon and a lion dog and so on and so forth. But that's exactly what it's for. It's Chinese New Year. And John, here's one for you from Glenn from Twitter.
All right.
In keeping with this, I put these together. It's like they actually came together. They didn't. This was a question a while ago.
Right.
What is or was your favorite Asian restaurant in Las Vegas?
Oh, well, in the old days, there was the sushi bar at the old San Remo.
My gosh.
Yes.
Saizen.
Saizen.
Yes.
Yes. That was considered by the Japanese to be the most authentic one. Most in the United States, most sushi restaurants are not owned by Japanese; they're owned by Koreans.
Right. Yeah.
And you go here, it's the same thing. Most of them are owned by Koreans, but I really liked that one. That one there, I thought was one of the more reminded me of what I would get back in Japan.
Yes.
San Remo's not there anymore. Is that the one? I forget. It turned into the terrible Herbst Hotel or
Hooters.
Hooters. That's it. It was Hooters. Yeah.
Hooters.
Yeah, Hooters.
I don't know if that's an improvement, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
Interesting thing. I'll tell you mine in a second. Back to DC. Sorry, there was a restaurant, Japanese restaurant, owned by a Korean lady, who was it's very, very popular. And she has pictures of all the people she's with.
Yeah.
Obama.
Yeah.
Didn't have a Trump.
No.
May not ever have a Trump. But Ted Kennedy.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, big heavyweights. And who do you think was third row down over on the right side? He's no longer with us. He represents Vegas. Robin Leach.
Oh, is that right?
Yes,
yeah, of
Robin
course.
Leach.
He ate in every restaurant in the world. I
Yes,
think.
he did. So there he was in the middle of.
No, not to say that just because the Koreans own it means it's just not good. It's just that it had a different. I guess the atmosphere was a little bit different. It reminded me more of what I would have gotten in Japan.
Right. Oh my gosh, my favorite Asian restaurant.
Now I would have to say again, I'd have to go to Lotus of Siam for Thai. You know, I think that's certainly one of the best.
I'm not big on hot food. I don't want to have to fight it.
Yeah,
I want to be able to eat it and not have to pay for it.
Yeah, I kind of like it with a little personality. Come up and usually when they ask me how hot do you want it, I say how hot do you want it? That's how hot I want it. Right.
You know what? I gotta say, not a lot of strip Asian that I'm thrilled with.
Yeah.
I have to say, still is my favorite, and I go there periodically. Although I have to, take a second out on the house. Is I Love Sushi.
Oh yeah.
Up in our area right here. Actually,
that's right.
So if you're wanting to get off the strip and go up the hill and be able to see a great view of the Las Vegas Boulevard, I Love Sushi in Henderson, Nevada, off of Seven Hills.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic.
Now there used to be. Do you remember we used to have a Chinese restaurant in the Venetian?
Mm-hmm.
There in Restaurant Row.
Yeah, it was okay.
And it was okay.
Yeah.
But you got a much better deal eating at the one in the casino. They had one there that was actually the same kitchen because it backed up to the kitchen of that restaurant.
Exactly.
It was that you paid about half the price.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But God, I'm trying to think. The Venetian was unremarkable when it came to Asian cuisine.
Yeah.
We obviously excelled in Italian.
Now they have Dao there. Now I wouldn't call that. I mean, that's a fusion, but it wasn't there when I worked there, so I couldn't have included that one.
No, and I've spent some quality time there because of all the celebrity stuff that I've done. But because it's an ultra lounge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to still stick with Lotus of Siam for Asian, if it's overall Asian. So off the strip, it's not expensive.
Yeah.
I kind of like the old location.
Yeah.
Just because it was kind of a dumpy.
Mm-hmm.
But then the roof collapsed during a storm, so they moved it. I have not been to the new one, but I understand they were going to go back to the old one.
I'm a fan of Morimoto.
Yeah. The Iron Chef?
If you like, Iron Chef. If you like Iron Chef, he's kind of fun to watch. But his restaurants, I actually ate one in Orlando, but they have one here. It's quality. I mean, it's really expensive.
Yeah.
Unless you do the walk-up one, which I've never done. I think Las Vegas, oh, I'm going to get terrible emails here, but Las Vegas is light on super, super quality Asian restaurants. I don't consider super quality super expensive. You know, I mean,
well, we have Nobu.
Yeah,
you know,
you got to eat at Nobu one time, especially if you want blowfish.
Yeah. Well, I had that in Japan and didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Somebody told me, he goes, fugu. I didn't know it. Come on, I just got there.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, just give me it with beer and I'll be happy. And then they told me what it was, and you see that plaque on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, that's his license, and he's licensed to.
Yeah. Yeah, I did fugu back when we were with the Venetian, and yeah, it's a little unnerving if you really start to think about it.
Yeah,
and it makes your lips numb, but or it did mine. I don't know. Did it make yours?
Oh, I was drinking beer, so
you were already
I was
numb.
already numb anyway.
Yeah,
but because in Japan, I mean, I was spoiled too, because you go back.
Oh gosh,
I went to so many places there. I remember going into a place where they were telling me how fresh the sushi was.
Yeah.
Well, it was so fresh it wasn't dead yet. The shrimp, well, he just took it right out of the tank and basically just slapped it on the counter, knocked it out. But then when you bit into it, the tail moved. When you dropped the tail on the plate, it sat there and it wiggled across the damn.
Yeah. Oh no,
across
pass.
the plate.
I don't like that. I want it to be. I need it to be dead. Nowadays, it's nothing at all. My broccoli is totally dead.
Yeah.
But so next week, actually, that's why I kind of brought up the food at the end. Next week, our episode is going to be it's going to be a food crawl. Nice. You and I are going to talk about past and present restaurants all across the city, and give our opinion and give what's going on. And again, we're going to talk real truth about what's going on with these restaurants, and what's going on with all the new stuff, the parks and the MGMs and so on and so forth. So I will talk alcohol, we'll talk food, we'll talk all kind of stuff, and we'll really get into.
You can
this.
Talk alcohol, just drink it.
There you go. Yeah, John will be the test case here, and we'll do the Dr. Johnny fever.
That's
we'll try to see how good we can do drunk on air.
Just let me know when we're going to do the dispensary crawl too. I'll do that too.
But come back with us next week, folks. Thanks for tuning in. It's the Pod Bay Door. Next week we will celebrate our second year, and we hope you can join us then. But for John, this is Jamie, and we will see you next week.
Thanks to everyone listening and watching. You can catch the Pod Bay Door on the Podbean app or any of your favorite podcast apps, including iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, and Stitcher Radio. You can watch the show on our YouTube channel at the Pod Bay Door Podcast. Please download, like, and subscribe. Our social connectivity screen is coming up. Check in with us on Facebook, Twitter, and WordPress. The Pod Bay Door is closed and talent is out. Hey everybody, thank you very much for tuning into the show. We would love to hear your show suggestions and comments. If you are watching on our YouTube channel, please click to subscribe. You can also connect with us on Facebook using @PBD Podcast, on Twitter using @TPBD Podcast, and on WordPress at thepodbaydoor.wordpress.com.